It's a matchup that has everything in the Little East Conference. The top two teams, the top two defenders from a year ago, the top two goaltenders, and the top two overall teams in terms of rank. The Beacons come in 23rd in the country in the NSCAA national poll as UMass Boston, riding a 10-game winning streak to start the season, dropped their first game of the season on Wednesday, a 1-0 loss to Babson College. On the other side, Eastern Connecticut State coming in at 9-2-1. They dropped their last game as well, a 1-0 loss on the road to Connecticut College. So both of these teams coming off rare losses. Last season it was UMass Boston earning a 1-0 victory over the Warriors to earn their first victory over Eastern Connecticut State since 1999. As we'll take a look right now at the statistics. And these two teams, well, it's no surprise they're near the top of the conference in every offensive category. The Beacons were averaging over 3 goals a game before they were shut out for the first time this season, despite putting up 16 shots against the Babson Beavers. Top two goaltenders, and it shows right there, both teams allowing less than 0.7 goals per game. UMass Boston amongst the nation's leaders in shots per game. Eastern Connecticut State a little bit lower. Neither of these goalies are tested often, but both of these goalies are exceptional goaltenders. For UMass Boston, Alfonso Rosales, a second-team goaltender. For Eastern Connecticut State, they had to turn the page, and it's Ryan Murphy, the freshman goalie out of Cromwell, Connecticut. The past 2 seasons, the Warriors had Greg Walton, a first-team all-conference player a year ago, but Walton transferred for his junior season to the University of Vermont, as the Beacons will be happy to see him gone. But Ryan Murphy, an equally competent goaltender, as he comes in at 9-2-1, a .65 goals against average. Let's take a look at the all-time series right now. We mentioned it earlier. Beacons 1-0-1 over the past 2 years. That's pretty good considering that they have trailing the all-time series 21-6-1. The last Warriors win, it was the last time that the Beacons faced Eastern Connecticut State before third-year head coach Jake Beverland took over, a 7-0 defeat. Beacons last year a 1-0 win as Pedro Da Silva scored the game-winning goal early in the second half. Low-scoring goals each of the past 2 years. 2 years ago, it was a 1-1 game over at the Clark Athletic Center field as the Beacons scored in the first half. A penalty kick goal for Eastern Connecticut State just after the second half began, and then we went the full 110 minutes, tied 1-1. As you see there, it was the Beacons' first victory since 1999, just the third ever shutout win over Eastern Connecticut State. Take a look around the rest of Beaconville right now. It hasn't been a great day for UMass Boston's other teams, as the Eastern Connecticut State women's soccer team used a pair of penalty kicks to down the Beacons women's soccer team in a matchup of two teams sitting at 3-0 in conference play. The Beacons women's tennis team lost to another undefeated team in conference. That's Bridgewater State, who improved to 6-0. They're one of 2 teams left in the Little East Conference undefeated in women's tennis. We'll take a look right now at the other games in conference play. It's a huge conference Saturday. Not just this game between the top 2 teams, but Rhode Island College facing Keene State. Teams picked 3rd and 4th in the conference. Rhode Island College picking up a big 3-1 victory, and it's no surprise that with this 5 o'clock start, members of the Rhode Island coaching staff have made their way up to Boston to get a little bit of additional scouting in. The Beacons have already faced off against the Anchorman. Eastern Connecticut State still has a date with Rhode Island College later this year. Plymouth State needed 87 minutes and 32 seconds to score against Western Connecticut State, but it was enough as the host Panthers earned a 1-0 victory. They're 3-0-1, just behind the Beacons, a perfect 3-0. Eastern Connecticut State 2-0-1. The loser of this game is going to find themselves in the middle of a really tough race for potentially second place and a home semifinal game in the Little East Conference tournament. And the final game, well, that was a blowout. UMass Dartmouth easily taking care of the University of Southern Maine in the matchup of 2 teams a little bit farther down the standings. Let's take a further look at these 2 teams. For UMass Boston, they're a bit of a scoring drought after their last home game in which they'd scored 9 goals in a 9-0 win over the University of Southern Maine. Just 2 goals in the past 286 minutes and 48 seconds, both coming from Pedro Da Silva. Both goals were game winners. A 1-0 victory over Bridgewater State, a 1-0 victory over the UMass Dartmouth to move the Beacons to 10-0, which tied the best start in school history with the UMass Boston men's hockey team from a year ago that started 10-0. Both teams dropped that 11th game. The Beacons, though, amongst the nation's leaders in offense and defense, they come in ranked offensively 25th in the country with their 31 goals and 18th with their 20.7 shots per game. Defensively, 12th in the country at .39 goals against, and tied for 26th in the country with a 60% shutout percentage. On the other side, this Eastern Connecticut State team back into the NSCA regional rankings and national rankings after a bit of a down 2014-15 that saw the three-time defending champs not even make the championship game as they fell to Keene State on their home turf in the semifinals. The Beacons went on to beat that Keene State team 2-1 in double overtime to earn their first ever tournament title. So the past four tournament championships in the Little East facing off today, and you could very likely see one of these teams take home both the regular season crown and the tournament crown, whoever was to win this game. Eastern is under a really strong spell under ninth-year head coach Greg DeVito, as DeVito ranks as one of the top coaches in program history. 118, 40, and 21, a 718 winning percentage, the best among coaches in program history. Third all-time in wins, behind one of his mentors, actually, Franz Innocent, who picked up 126 wins over 17 seasons. DeVito just 18 behind that. One of the big keys for this Eastern team has been their transfers. Cooper D'Ambrosio, the Little East Conference co-defensive player of the year, transferred from the University of Hartford. His dad is actually the women's soccer coach at Eastern Connecticut, Chris D'Ambrosio. Tyler Jones, a very strong player on this team, transferred out of Manchester Community College. And Danny Manfredi, a transfer from Division II University of New Haven. His father actually ran cross-country at Eastern back in the early 1980s. Looking at the starting lineup, first for Eastern Connecticut State, Zane Lombardo, the senior back out of Portland, Connecticut. He'll be wearing number 3 today instead of his traditional number 2, making his 13th appearance, 12th start. J.D. Stearns, a sophomore out of Bolton, Connecticut, making his 13th start, 2 goals, 5 assists, and 9 points, as we'll actually take a break for the national anthem and then bring you the starters for both teams. So we'll bring the audio back in just about a minute and 30 seconds. Closing out the starters for this Eastern Connecticut State team, we've talked about Cooper D'Ambrosio, the senior out of Andover, Connecticut. Gavin Neuendorf, the junior back out of Norwich, Connecticut, 6'1", 160, making his 13th appearance, 2 assists and 7 shots on the season. Tyler Jones, the junior forward out of Vernon, Connecticut, gets the start, his 12th on the season, 13 total appearance. He's tied for first with his 5 goals, second on the team with his 10 total points. Xavier Duran, the sophomore forward out of Hebron, Connecticut, he is tied for first with his 5 goals and leads the team with his 14 total points, 6'2", 185. He's going to provide a bit of size for Eastern up top against the Beacons' very 2 big center backs, who we'll talk about when we get to the Beacon starters. Emmanuel Caicedo, the junior defenseman out of Manchester, Connecticut, 6'3", 190, getting his 13th start. Danny Manfredi, the junior midfielder out of Unionville, Connecticut, the D2 transfer, making his 13th start. He's got 3 assists on the season. And in net, it's Ryan Murphy, the freshman goaltender out of Cromwell, Connecticut, 6', 155, a 4-year starter at Cromwell High School, where he was the tournament MVP as a junior when his team won the state title. 9-2-1 has started every game this season, a .65 goals against average, .879 save percentage, both second best in the conference. He's also second with his 58 saves versus just 8 goals allowed. The Warriors are coached by Greg DeVito in his 9th season. For the Beacons, it's a group with a lot of youngsters and a lot of upperclassmen looking for back-to-back regular season and tournament titles. Dennis Martinez, the freshman midfielder out of Chelsea, Massachusetts, will get his 4th consecutive start, 10th total appearance, 9 shots, 2 shots on goal. He's the Beacons' defensive midfielder who will look to start the counterattack. Pedro De Carvalho, the 2014 Little East Co-Defensive Player of the Year, junior back out of Praia, Cape Verde, 6'2", 195, converted forward. He's been very good in his 2 seasons at the center back position. Mateus Reis, the junior back out of Montana, Brazil. He'll be outside wide for the Beacons on the right side. 5'10", 165 out of Somerville High School, making his 12th appearance, 9th start, 1 assist and 5 shots on the season. The forward to watch, it's Pedro da Silva, the senior forward out of Fogo, Cape Verde, in his 2nd season with the Beacons after transferring from Bunker Hill Community College. First team All-Conference a year ago, All-Region amongst the NSCAA and ECAC. He had 13 goals as a junior, and this season he's got 8 goals, good for 2nd in the conference. He's also he's 3rd in the conference with his 19 points, and he's been very good over the past 3 games, with his 2 goals in those 3 games. The Beacons alone 2 goals. Mohamed Kenaway, he's one of the freshman sensations on this Beacons team. As Kenaway, the freshman out of Revere, Massachusetts, already amongst the conference leaders in points with 12. He's got 4 goals, 5th on the Beacons. Joshua Kang, a sophomore midfielder out of Brockton, Massachusetts, making his 11th start. Did not play against Babson. That was a key loss in the Beacons midfield. Newton Jordeo, the sophomore midfielder out of Minas Gerais, Brazil, attended LaSalle College last year, where he was named the Great Northeast Athletic Conference Rookie of the Year, as Calvin Schmick will send it over. And Schmick's our next starter. Schmick, the sophomore forward out of Wilmington, Delaware, 5'10", making his 11th appearance, 4th total start. Did not play against Babson, but that's because head coach Jake Beverlin actually shortened the bench a little bit, so he used just 4 substitutes in that one. Pedro da Silva made some contact there with the bench of Eastern Connecticut State. Appears to be a little banged up, but he'll try to continue. And Marcelo Cunha is the Beacons' other center back, the sophomore out of Goianese, Brazil, 6'1", 190. He's making his 10th start of the season after missing 2 games. The Beacons a bit banged up. Arlindo Gonçalves, who was the Beacons' left back, the junior captain out of Brockton, he and Cunha have missed games over the past couple games due to injuries. Today, the Beacons without Elton Texera, their 2nd leading scorer, an all-conference player a year ago. And the Beacons have been missing Matthew Coakley and Juan Nieto, 2 players who would normally be seeing a little bit of time with injuries as well. In net for the Beacons, it's Alfonso Rosales, the senior goaltender out of Revere, Massachusetts. His 8th start of the season, 6-1, a .28 goals against average, .931 save percentage, both easily the best on the Beacons. Good for 4th best and 3rd best in the nation. He leads the Beacons in program history with his 27 career wins, currently sitting on 14 shutouts, which is good for tied for first. The Beacons in their white home uniforms with blue stripes and blue letters. Eastern Connecticut State in their maroon uniforms with navy blue shorts and the white numbers, as this will be a long throw-in for Eastern, potentially the first scoring opportunity for either side. The throw-in, it's high, but off the head there of Cunha. He'll actually head it all the way back to the chest of the Eastern player, sent back into the box, over the head that time with De Carvalho. Chance up top here, and it's stolen away by Cunha. Cunha looking for the through ball for Kenaway. Kenaway going one-on-one. Can he get there? He's going up top there with Lombardo. Chance for Kenaway. Great diving save from Murphy, who slides well on his net. Second chance, and it's knocked down as Calvin Schmick had an opportunity. Still with the Beacons. It's Kang who overruns the ball. DeVito is up off his bench and screaming. Not a surprise there, as the Beacons had a great opportunity. Jordeo tries to step up. It's bounced around over to Da Silva, who's a little bit farther back than he normally is, and he'll play it back to De Carvalho. First great chance of the game as Ryan Murphy came well off his line there, as Mohamed Kenaway nearly made it 1-0 in the opening 5 minutes. 41-42 to play in this first half between these top 2 teams. You're not going to see a lot of goals in this game. 2 top goaltenders, despite the fact that these 2 teams combined to score well over 4 goals per game. It's just not going to happen. These defenses too strong, and both of these teams know how important a result is today. A tie, I would say, is almost the most likely thing, is neither side would be hurt much by it, although it would put Eastern behind Plymouth State in the standings, and it would tie the Beacons with the Panthers for first through 4 of 7 conference games. Smick will have trapped that one with his chest as a player coming in from behind, sends it off the head of an Eastern Connecticut State player. Kang sliding it over to Jordeo. Jordeo fighting off an Eastern player, and there's going to be an infraction there on Alejandro Tabone, a junior midfielder out of West Hartford, Connecticut, who I did not have circled down as a starter. Cunha playing it to the near side for De Carvalho. De Carvalho, a through ball looking for De Silva, who scored the lone goal last year. Long run, and he's not going to get there as he sends it wide and behind the net either way. But a good look there from one Pedro to another as De Silva nearly had a cross into the box. UMass Boston without Elton Texera, one of their senior forwards who started nearly every game this season. Senior out of Fogo, Cape Verde. Came in with 5 goals, 5 assists, 15 points. Good for second best on the Beacons. 5th in the conference, so he certainly will be missed. Got banged up against Babson on Wednesday and unable to practice the past 2 days as the Beacons sorely missed him against Babson, that 1-0 loss, as Babson was throwing 10, 11 players behind the ball and really putting a lot of emphasis on De Silva, who had no space. Attempted cross in for Kenaway. Cleared away, but right back onto the chest of Joshua Kang. It's Dennis Martinez sliding a through ball over for De Silva, who's playing farther back than he normally would, as Kenaway is almost playing like a center forward. Normally it's De Silva as the center forward, with the 2 outside forwards playing a little bit further back, as Kenaway puts a little bit of pressure on Murphy on the ground, right onto the foot of Kang. Kang can shoot from that distance. Instead, he'll take it into the box, sliding it across. Smick with the touch, and Murphy makes the save. A little bit of a bobble, but that ball didn't have much on it, and Murphy capable of making that save. UMass Boston, though, with some good pressure over the past couple minutes. 2 saves for Murphy, the first much more difficult than the second, although that was not a wise attempted clear there by Murphy as he put it right onto the foot of Kang, who, fortunately, if you're a Warriors fan, elected to slide it across for Smick. Might have had an open net there, at least a little bit of space, as Kang scored a goal against Wentworth in a earlier victory this season, 3-1 against the Wentworth team that is much better than they have been in the past. And he scored that one from 35 yards out. It's Martinez looking to slide it in for Kenaway. A nice job stepping up that time by Emmanuel Caicedo. Caicedo towering over the smaller Kenaway. And it slid back, Jordeo over to De Carvalho. The Beacon center backs will play the ball at their feet a lot more than you're used to seeing from most teams, as De Carvalho once again fighting off a player, and he'll slide it into space for Martinez. Martinez looking to cross it, and he finds Gonsalves. Gonsalves had missed 5 consecutive games for the Beacons after picking up an ankle injury. Came back against Babson. Wasn't 100% himself, as he is Marcelo Cunha. Both had missed a couple games before returning against Babson. That ball skips over the head of Mateus Reese. A nice job of reading that one by Justin Jensen. Jensen looking to slide it across into the box. Rosales is there and easily makes the catch, as there wasn't too many maroon shirts in the box on that attempted cross. Nice job, though, by Justin Jensen, the freshman forward out of Wethersfield, Connecticut. Ball out wide, Gonsalves and Kang, former high school teammates with the Brockton Boxers. And now to the near side for Kenaway. Kenaway played his club soccer with Martinez as he takes the shot just to the near post. De Silva may have been offside. Not sure if he would have been able to reach that one either way. It did appear to be a shot off the foot of Kenaway. Kenaway came into this one second on the Beacons with his 38 shots, but first on the squad with 19 shots on goal. Kenaway, Martinez, and Kang all played with the FC Bolts. And Kenaway was actually a member of the U.S. men's national futsal team back in 2014. A tremendously effective player with the ball at his feet. He's got moves you normally don't see out of Division III players. A nice job by Jordeo to fight off 2 defenders, trying to come up with the ball. And now it'll be De Carvalho sliding it back for Rosales. Rosales with a little bit of time, and he'll send it towards midfield. The only player there is Lombardo. Lombardo tries to find a teammate, but it's Kang knocking it wide. Over to the foot of Gonsalves. Gonsalves, a 3-year starter with UMass Boston. One of the 3 captains on this team alongside the 2 senior goaltenders, Fonzo Rosales and Estive Sosa. Sorry about that. It's Gonsalves for Smick. Smick the left-footed cross, and that one will go wide. No one was looking to get on the end of that ball. As Kenaway, Jordeo, and De Silva all were in the vicinity. 36:03 to go in the first half. The Beacons with two good looks early. Murphy up to the task for the Warriors. Eastern Connecticut State still looking for their first good chance of the game. Jordao comes up, tries to slide it over to De Silva. De Silva looking for the run from Smick. Dribbling, and he'll find Smick right at the 20-yard line on this football field. Over to Gonsalves. Big first touch. Crosses it, and that one was out of bounds, according to the far referee. Today's head official is Nate Penn. The assistants, Jeff Cooper and Charles Karistaris. Home teams in conference play today. Perfect 3-0. The Beacons would love to make it 4 and move to 4-0 in conference play. Last season, UMass Boston started off the conference season with 6 consecutive results, 5-0-1, before they fell to Rhode Island College on a very rainy Saturday senior day in which the Beacons did not need a result to clinch first place. They'd already wrapped that up the week before with a victory over Plymouth State. This season could be a little bit more difficult as UMass Boston will have to contend not just with Eastern Connecticut State but also with Plymouth State, who now sits at 3-0-1, just a half game behind the Beacons. That game looms as the Beacons will host Plymouth State on senior day. De Silva is knocked down at the edge of the box. Not enough for a foul there. Now it's Jensen sending it up and well out of bounds as that one goes in and out of the hands of a Beacons bench player. That was Guilherme Barbosa, who you are guaranteed to see in this one with Texera unavailable. Barbosa is one of the fastest Beacons on this team. It's hard to decide which one is the fastest, as this Beacons team is very fleet of foot. Barbosa can fly, as can Jacob Higgins off the bench. Haven't seen Edmilson Barrows, who will definitely make an impact on this game one way or another. Scored the lone Beacons goal 2 years ago against the Warriors, as that one was out of bounds off of Eastern Connecticut State. UMass Boston, biggest difference from last year to this year is the Beacons' depth. Last year's team maybe went 15 deep. This year's team easily 17-18. And that's the benefit with Elton Texera unavailable. UMass Boston had options today in that wide forward position, electing to go with Smick, but you'll definitely see Barbosa in that spot at some point, along with potentially Clisma Mendez and Guilherme Barbosa. Ball out wide for Smick, plays it right back to Jordao, has two options ahead. De Silva is the one he picks out. De Silva just outside the box. The defender is D'Ambrosio. Takes the left-footed cross, looking for Kenaway, and that one is going to go out of bounds. Beacons looking for the deflection. Instead, they're going to say it did not touch a Warrior, and it'll go for a goal kick. Good luck there for De Silva, who had Kenaway one-on-one with the shorter defender in Lombardo, but just a little bit too strong, as Kenaway was also fighting out the sun. One Warrior is already warming up on the sideline, as Eastern is also a deep team, just like UMass Boston. It's Reese over to Kang, who will slide it across for Gonsalves. A little bit of pressure coming here from Tyler Jones. Gonsalves will play it backwards. Cunha with all kinds of time to the near sideline, looking for Reese. A nice chest trap there. Crosses it over to slow down the defender. Onto the foot of De Silva. De Silva's work rate in games like this can be incredibly high, as he looked for Kenaway to make the run. That time those two players are not on the same side. When Pedro De Silva is at his best, though, he's creating all kinds of chaos for the opposing goaltender and defense in his ability to make them work and to come away with steals, as Reese gets his body in the way of that intended pass for Justin Jensen. Reese ahead for De Silva. It's a foot race, and a nice job to shield him off by D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio's not the massive center back that a lot of teams employ. Just 5'11", 155, but it did a nice job of keeping up with the very speedy De Silva, as Kenaway overturns an Eastern player. That was Jensen, and now Kenaway getting into it with J.D. Stearns, as the Eastern player still down, and we're going to stop the clock right now. Kenaway will chat with Nate Penn. Kenaway not a dirty player in any way. Normally, he's the player taking the brunt of the physicality after dribbling through a couple players, but that time he overturned the smaller Justin Jensen, listed at just 5'5", 115. We're going to see a two-man wall here as it's Danny Manfredi taking the free kick. Alfonso Rosales barking out directions. He sends it to the far side into the box, and it's headed away by Cunha, and we're going to see an infraction against Eastern Connecticut State either way, and the Beacons will get the free kick from the top of their own box. So, small little chance there for Eastern, but not much going on. And even if they had been able to get ahead on that ball, there was a Warrior called for pushing off. Rosales will back up into his own goal box. And he'll simply kick it over to De Carvalho. Beacons have so much faith in their center backs to start the offense as he looks for De Silva. Nice job to break that one up by Caicedo. Ball is loose right at midfield, and it's going to be infraction there on Jordao. As it'll be Danny Manfredi asking for the referee to give a little bit more space here with Jordao right on top of the ball. Jordao just trying to make sure that Eastern couldn't get away with the quick restart as now Jake Beverland barks out some instructions to his team. Beverland, the 2014 Little East Conference Coach of the Year after leading the Beacons to their first ever regular season and tournament title in the conference. Another free kick, and this one gets behind the Beacons back line, centered in front, and we've got a whistle as looks like they're going to call offsides there. Didn't see the flag go up as that was Xavier Duran getting in behind the Beacons defense. Rosales is going to boot this one long. 29-42 left in this first half. As Rosales, a big kick onto the head of Jordao, and it's sent out of bounds off the head of D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio wearing the captain's armband. He's joined by Emmanuel Caicedo and Gavin Neuendorf as the captains on this team. D'Ambrosio's not listed as a captain on the roster, but he's definitely wearing the armband today, and it's no surprise. Senior's had a very successful career. The son of a coach, probably has soccer intelligence that some other players might not have, as Cunha trying to play the ball for De Silva, and that one is broken up nicely by a Warrior. Now it's a through ball that Cunha and De Carvalho are going to have to chase down. Cunha gets to it first, leaves it for Rosales, and he'll send his big boot past midfield. A nice job to break that one up by Cunha. And now De Carvalho is going to have to head it across for Gonsalves as the original Eastern player who had looked to make that run. It was Xavier Duran. Had never headed back out of a dangerous spot for the Beacons. Kang up ahead for De Silva. De Silva working against Caicedo. Caicedo gets the better end of that battle, and it's sent into the Beacons' end. Cunha will leave it off for Kang and right back to Cunha. Cunha sliding it forward for Jordao, who's met by the smaller Eastern player and draws the foul that time as Manfredi obstructed Cunha's ability to move forward. Immediately slides it up for Kenaway, and I think the referee is sensing the importance of this game as he's going to make sure that the ball is started from the exact spot where the foul was played. This is a big job for Nate Penn. These are two of the coaches who complain more than others. Is a chance for Smick, and he's offside, and then the two players collide. Not much you could ask Calvin Schmick to do there. Is Murphy coming off his line, both players going for the ball, and there wasn't as much contact as there could have been, as Murphy appears to be a bit banged up, but he's up to his feet quickly. Smick looking for a rare goal. Sophomore making his fourth start of the season, 2 assists this year. Scored his lone goal a year ago as Penn checks on Murphy. And we'll see if he has any words for Smick. No, totally fine with that as Murphy will take it just outside the box where Smick had gone offsides. And now we'll see a free kick coming here from Ryan Murphy well into his own end. Murphy boots it across midfield towards the Beacons' 30-yard line. It's off the long flowing locks of Dennis Martinez. Martinez will play it off over to Gonsalves. Gonsalves looking to beat his man. Gets around one player, goes to the ground, and now it's played out of bounds, where it'll be picked up for a Beacons throw-in by Smick. Smick sends it backwards for Cunha. Cunha flicking it forward in no man's land. And now Cunha will come up to head it as it's played there by Jordao. Cleared back into the Beacons' end as Eastern's doing a better job than most teams have this year to keep possession pretty close. Eastern still looking for that first good goal-scoring chance. The Beacons had one early, sort of had a second, as Murphy up to the test of stopping shots from Kenaway and Smick in the opening 10 minutes. We're almost 20 minutes through this first half of what easily could go 100 to 110. 2 years ago, the game went the full 110, a 1-0 or 1-1 tie between these two teams. Last year, the Beacons scoring the lone goal early in the second half as that ball is out of bounds off the foot of Tyler Jones. Gonsalves looking for options, as already we're seeing shadows on the near side. This game is being played right now in decent temperatures in the 60s, but it could easily go into the 50s, even lower, as the sun goes down here with this 5 o'clock start. Ball played forward to Silva, trying to track it down. Murphy's off his line, and Caicedo does a great job of shielding off to Silva, but his attempt to clear it goes off of Kenaway. De Silva shielding off Caicedo, has one player to beat. That ball is cleared partially by Lombardo, and then Caicedo does a great job to send it into the Beacons bench for a Beacons throw-in. Pedro de Silva and Emmanuel Caicedo are going to have a very fun game today. Those two are going to go back and forth at each other. De Silva won't play the full 90. He'll be given a couple of respites to make sure that he's as fresh as possible towards the end of the game when the Eastern center backs might be slowing down. But already they're having a fun little battle to watch. It's Kenaway. A nice job by Lombardo to get over and break up that potential counterattack. On the throw-in, it's Mateus Reese. De Silva looking to turn. Caicedo is there, and it's played off and out of bounds by Caicedo. As Milson Barros looks like he's ready to go. There's now two Eastern players warming up, but neither are ready to check in quite yet. Ball broken up here by Cunha, who easily read that pass. Cunha trying to send a through ball for De Silva. De Silva wasn't ready to make that run. He can only have so much stamina. J.D. Stearns looking to play it. Jordao steps in, and it's played back onto the foot of Danny Manfredi. Manfredi out wide for Jones. Jones will play it back to D'Ambrosio. And Bruzio, a great pass right onto the foot of Xavier Duran. It's going to be ruled out of bounds off of Cunha this time. And his throw-in came a little bit too far up the pitch, and it's going to be brought back. Already seen this on multiple instances, and we're only in the first half. It's only going to get more nitpicky as this game goes along, as Nate Penn has a short conversation with Marcelo Cunha. Penn doing his best to make sure he's completely on top of this game, knowing the stakes of this game. And if he's worked a game with either of these coaches, he knows how much barking they can do. Doesn't want it to affect the game as Cunha does a nice job of clearing it. De Silva giving chase. Lombardo's there first. Heads it into the Beacons' end. Nice little back flick touch by Jordao, but he's unable to control. Kang is being pushed off there by Duran. No call. Duran over to Jones on the far side with Gonsalves defending. Jones flicks it in. And it's going to be behind the goal this time. No deflection. It'll be a goal kick here for Rosales. Just about the midway point of this first half. Beacons with two good chances early. I believe those are their only two shots on goal. Eastern still looking for their first. These two goalies only are forced to make eight saves combined, as there's an instance of an Eastern player slowing down the game, not allowing Jordao to pick the ball up, but it'll allow the Beacons to put numbers into the box here, as this free kick is going to be taken by Smick, it looks like. Smick, the lefty, will try to send a bending ball towards the near post, as the Beacons sending both of their center backs in there alongside Jordao and De Silva. Smick sends it towards the back post. Chance for Cunha. It's knocked wide, and the ball's still loose. De Silva looking for the corner, and it's going to be a corner kick, as Justin Jensen tried to get over there, but not in time. So the Beacons will go from a free kick in a dangerous spot to a corner kick, their first of the game, the first for either team. The last time the Beacons were at home, the first time the Beacons were at home, Smick had an assist on the first goal of the game as Milson Barros headed it home. Sends a low ball to the near post. Flicked up off the head of a Warrior. Now it's De Carvalho out wide to Smick, and he's offsides. Would have been a great chance, but Smick just a little bit behind the back four of Eastern Connecticut State, and that breaks up what could have been a great chance. As there were 3 Beacons still lurking in the box, and a couple of Eastern Connecticut State players had crept out trying to start the counterattack. It'll be Murphy on the free kick as the Beacons, at least a small chance there. They've had much better here in the first half with 21 minutes remaining. Smick onto the body of De Silva. De Silva with 4 maroon shirts around him. He'll dribble to the near side. Kennaway looking for it, and the pass is too strong for Kennaway, as those two players not on the same page over the past 10 minutes. Barros waiting to check in. UMass Boston went with a much shorter substitution pattern against Babson on Wednesday, one of the best teams they've played, if not the best team they've played all season. It'll be interesting to see if Beverland keeps his rotation as short as he did in that game, or if he'll try to use his numbers to slow down this Eastern Connecticut State team that's been very good. They won each of their past 3 games before losing to the Connecticut College Camels on Wednesday. Game was a road game for both teams in their losses, as the Beacons outshot Babson but couldn't come away with that one great chance. Eastern was dominated in most of the statistical categories, but able to keep it to just a 1-0 loss. Now an attempted lead pass, and the Eastern player goes down. That was Jones, who was wrestling with Cunha. And now we're going to see the referee ask Jones to get up, as we're going to see a substitute check in for Eastern Connecticut State. It's Adam Traxler, sophomore out of Newburyport, Massachusetts. Last season, second on the team with his 11 points, 4 goals, 3 assists. This year, just 1 assist, making his 5th appearance of the season. Does have 2 starts to his name. Is Cunha a physical player, but in that case, Penn estimated that Jones was looking for the easy free kick. Reese unable to handle that pass, and it's a throw-in. Sent it towards the box, but Gonsalves in the way of that attempted pass for Jones. Jones will keep it in on that far sideline. No, he won't, according to the official, as his second touch took him out of bounds. 25 minutes into the first half here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing you all the action of this Little East Conference men's soccer matchup. The Beacons 3-0-0 in conference play. Eastern Connecticut State 2-0-1. The top 2 teams in this year's Little East Conference preseason coaches poll, right where we expected them. The top 2 teams in the conference going into this matchup, and this is such a huge matchup. Over the past 6 years, no Little East Conference team that has won the regular season has had more than 1 loss. So that tells you a lot. Whichever team loses this game is going to have to be really good the rest of the year. They'll have no opportunity to slip up if they want to take away another title. De Silva playing it out for Kennaway. Kennaway begins to dribble around Lombardo, left-footed shot. Murphy, the kick save, and it deflects out right onto the head of a Warrior. Another good look for Kennaway, who now has had 2 great chances, and Murphy showing that he's almost as good as Greg Walton. That pass to the far side, just a little bit too high, as De Silva tried to get there, but not in time. And now we see some of the coaching staff from UMass Dartmouth make their way into the James Cutter Field bleachers below us. So Rhode Island College coaches and UMass Dartmouth coaches sliding their way in. This 5 p.m. start definitely allows some of the other coaches who played 1 o'clock games to get some extra information. Always easier to scout when you're seeing it live rather than when you're seeing it on video. The video quality not always so great on that game film the coaches are given. As those 2 teams, Rhode Island College last year fell to the Beacons 1-0 in the Little East Conference semifinals, as it was the Beacons' first ever victory. And there's Kennaway getting underneath Lombardo. No call coming, despite the Eastern Connecticut assistant coaches screaming at the referees, saying that Kennaway had given too much contact. UMass Dartmouth, who the Beacons defeated 1-0 last weekend, in a game the Beacons dominated possession and the chances, but couldn't score until the final 5 minutes. They're hoping to get into the conference tournament. Just 4 teams get in the Little East Conference. And UMass Dartmouth with their victory today, just 1-2-1. It's going to be difficult for the Corsairs, but they're going to try to win the rest of their games and hope that they can use the information they gathered today to potentially come away with the victory later on in this season or in the playoffs, as Eastern Connecticut State will go to UMass Dartmouth on Halloween. That's the final game of the Little East Conference regular season. The Beacons still have a trip to Western Connecticut State on Friday, and then they host Keene State and Plymouth State to close out conference play. It's Gonsalves into the box, double-teamed, tries to slide it across, ball still loose. It got on the hand of an Eastern player who was down on the ground. The Beacons looking for the call. It's going to go for a goal kick. And no call for the Beacons, as UMass Boston will send in Milson Barros and Guillermo Barbosa. Joshua Kang and Calvin Smick will check out. Be interesting to see who's playing in the midfield. Both of these players normally forwards. Kang, one of the Beacons' better midfielders, and my guess would be Barros would slide into the midfield alongside Jordeo and Martinez, with Barbosa sliding out on that far right side. 15:20 to go in this first half, as we've got a foul right at, well, just inside the Beacons' end. Off the restart, it's played forward by Manfredi. Played backwards, and now a cross into the box. Easy play for Rosales, as the Shadows have now enveloped the near side of the field from about the 20-yard line to the Eastern Connecticut State 30. Probably by the time we finish halftime, it'll be closer towards half of the entire field on the width pattern. Probably reach the entire length, as Barros' first touch, not a good one. He was looking for De Silva. Turned over. Ball played forward onto the foot of Duran, who tried to get a bit too fancy, and Dennis Martinez picks his pocket. De Carvalho back to Rosales, who has a little bit of pressure coming in from Duran. He'll send it out wide, and that one is going to go right into the hands of one of our ball boys from today's game. So Duran does his job, puts the pressure on Rosales, and creates a turnover. Ball into the box. De Carvalho easily able to head it away. Now it's Tabone. Tabone out wide for Jones. Jones, a nice crossover to beat Gonsalves. The ball to the near side, and Reese gets ahead on it. Barros misses his first touch, but able to keep possession and gets around Lombardo. The Beacons have three players on the near side, and the pass from De Silva, a little bit too soft there for Kenaway, who was trying to slip through traffic. Barros with Lombardo on his back. It's Jordeo who will give it back to Reese just inside the eastern end. Reese will send it backwards for De Carvalho, as the Beacons looking for their tic-tac-toe passing right now. Instead of the long ball, Martinez pushing up further than he has today. Over to the near side for Barros. Barros looking to send a ball in. Nobody makes the run, and it'll be out of bounds for a throw-in. So that's the positive. The Beacons will keep Eastern deep inside their own end, as Barbosa will slide over and try to put some pressure on. Barros, the 2013 Little East Conference Rookie of the Year. He's the Beacons' third leading point getter this season. As Barbosa, who checked in, has 5 goals this year for UMass Boston. 3 of them came against Salem State, as the freshman and Pedro De Silva, the lone 2 Beacons with hat tricks this year, as ball is going to get out of bounds as Gonsalves being pushed out there by Jones. For Eastern Connecticut State, they have 2 hat tricks as well. Justin Jensen against Ramapo, Xavier Duran against Western Connecticut State. Both of their hat tricks actually came in just a single half of play, which is very impressive, as Martinez comes back, leaving it for Cunha, who will actually hit the back of Martinez's head. Chance here for Eastern Connecticut State, sent to the near side. Reese in a foot race. He's got a huge lead on Traxler, and he'll let it go over the end line for a goal kick. See Rosales shielding his eyes, and really the hardest place for the goalie right now could be a cross in from the near side. We've seen Eastern with more action from the far side. And Penn asking for Rosales to put the ball down and make sure that everyone is set before he does the goal kick. The Beacons traditionally will send a lot of goal kicks out as soon as Rosales puts down the ball, sending it to one of his center backs. But this time Rosales is going to be forced to boot it long. Barbosa can't get ahead on it, but he's pushed off the ball there by Jones in the estimation of Penn, and the Beacons will get a free kick. Cunha playing it back to De Carvalho. De Carvalho sliding onto the foot of Kenaway. Kenaway double-teamed immediately, trying to dribble through three players. Still has possession. Looking for De Silva. Flicks it off the head of Lombardo. And it's into the hands of Murphy. As that's what Muhammad Kenaway can do. You give him an inch, he'll take a mile. As Cunha collides with an Eastern player. And they're going to say that's out of bounds off of Cunha. No foul. Cunha the first player of the ball, but the Eastern player hitting Cunha as the Eastern player was still going up. And he immediately took a tumble. Barbosa and Martinez collide with an Eastern player. Lombardo almost turned it over as Barbosa got a foot on it. Instead, it's controlled there on the far side by what I believe is J.D. Stearns, who goes to the ground. No, that was Gavin Neuendorf. And it's out of bounds for a goal kick. De Carvalho attempting to find Kenaway. Now it's Jordao flicking it high into the air, looking for Barbosa. Headed down by Neuendorf. Controlled by Jones. Jones over to Tabone. Out wide for Tabone, who has it knocked away by Barbosa. Gonçalves to Barbosa. And Martinez, too strong on the first touch, turned over. And that time it was Duran sending it in, looking for Traxler. Instead it's Reese. Reese is attempted clear off of De Carvalho. Ball is still loose. Kenaway will flick it on to Martinez. He'll look to settle. Martinez out to Barbosa. The lone player up top is De Silva. And Barbosa somehow finds De Silva. Great turn by Cooper D'Ambrosio. And no, they're going to call him for the foul. Nope. They're going to call advantage for the Beacons, as that was odd. Adam Penn going well out of his way to talk about a play that had very little contact. And now it's once again Durant trying to feed Traxler, but the Beacons coming up with the interception. Manfredi has the pass intercepted there by Gonçalves. And Gonçalves will keep the ball inbounds for the moment, but send it out right at midfield. Got a substitution coming for Eastern Connecticut State, as we'll see Andreas Viller, the sophomore midfielder out of Mansfield, Connecticut, making his 12th appearance, just one start in the season, 1 goal, 1 assist, and 4 shots, as he'll check in for Alejandro Tabone. Jordao sent to the ground, and it's De Carvalho back over to Jordao. De Silva fighting with Lombardo, and now he throws off Lombardo off the ball, and it's an easy call for the referee. One of the most blatant fouls of the day, as De Silva can't believe it. We have free kick right at midfield with 8:37 to go in the first half. Both of these teams have been scoreless almost now for 135 minutes plus, as neither team able to score in their last game. First touch for Viller, and it's immediately taken away by Jordao. Jordao has his pocket picked. Nice play by Manfredi. And Jordao still down behind the play. Ball out wide for Jones. Jones able to get through the legs of Gonçalves, and it's a nice job by Martinez tracking back, the defensive midfielder. Ball stolen away there as it was J.D. Stearns, and it's going to be a foul against Eastern Connecticut State. Cunha looking for some help, as he's looking right into the sun, and he'll send it over for De Carvalho. De Carvalho onto the foot of Kenaway, and he's able to just barely keep it in on the first touch. And they say the second touch not so fortunate. Lombardo's throwing onto the chest there of Xavier Duran, and now Barros is going to draw the foul on Duran, who can't believe it. As Barros went in high on Duran, but they're going to say that Duran pushed Barros to the ground. It's Martinez over to Reese. Reese with a lot of pressure on him from Traxler. Martinez right back to Reese as the Beacons catch Eastern a little bit too aggressive there. Martinez looking for the through ball up ahead for Barbosa. Barbosa is onside. Off the chest, a little bit strong on the first touch. He attempts to send it across, and it will be inbounds, but no Beacons making that run. Nice job by Barbosa to keep in there as the Beacons imploring Pedro da Silva to keep up his work rate. He's done a great job here in the first half. But we might see him check out for the final couple minutes as Clisman Mendez is up and talking to assistant coach Dan Robinson. Robinson, the son of BU head coach Neil Robinson, as Kenaway breaks through one defender, pulls it back, double team, looking for the pass. He finds it in the form of Jordao. Jordao at the top of the box, right-footed shot off the gloves of Murphy. What a diving stop, as that's another highlight reel save for the freshman. What a stop from Murphy on the bending ball. Jordao had very little space. As we'll see Mendez check in for Barbosa rather than De Silva. Mendez a little bit taller than Barbosa, although Barbosa is an elite jumper. Noah Ratet will check in. The corner kick goes off the head of Mendez, well wide. After the brilliant chance from Jordao, the Beacons have had 2, if not 3, great chances to score in this first half. Eastern still looking for their first, as the first chance may have been the best, with Muhammad Kenaway putting it just into the hands of a on-rushing Ryan Murphy. Calvin Schmick had a good opportunity as well, and Jordao with a great bending shot from the top of the box that Murphy had to dive and get both of his hands on. Mendez heads it down, but right onto the foot there of Danny Manfredi, and Cunha will clear it up for Mendez. Mendez's pass intercepted there by Manfredi, and now Mendez will get it right back. Martinez with it. Klisman, a sophomore on this Beacons team, rather a junior, out of Fogo, Cape Verde. Played with the Vallejo Football Club. He's making his 12th appearance, 3 assists, tied for third on the team, 7 shots. As he appeared in 9 games as a sophomore in his first season with the team, 1 goal on 5 shots. Mendez, one of a slew of Beacons players, originally from the island of Cape Verde, off the west coast of Africa. A lot of those players living in Dorchester, Massachusetts, not too far away from the Beacons campus, and the large Cape Verdean community here, as Mateus Reese does a phenomenal job to keep that ball from going over the end line, and then sends it off of Traxler for a Beacons throw, and that easily could have been the first corner for Eastern of the day. Beacons also with a large Brazilian population. If you know anything about Massachusetts, there's a lot of Brazilians in the state of Massachusetts, especially in Framingham, where the Beacons have Ricky Bonilla, one of their players who we've yet to see today, although he has appeared in almost every game this season. Kenaway over to Reese, and Reese, who's from Somerville, Massachusetts, as that ball from Caicedo actually sent back unintentionally for D'Ambrosio, who does a great job to clear. 3:51 to go here in this first half as Eastern is ready for another substitution. Kevin Zepiri, the freshman forward out of Waterford, Connecticut, ready to check in, looking to make his 12th appearance. As De Silva tries a backheel flick for Barros, read nicely by the Eastern defense, but the attempted clear right onto the foot of Reese. Reese tried to get it through 3 players, unable to do so, and it's onto the foot of J.D. Stearns. Stearns, the 2-time All-State player at Bolton High School, as he gets it back here from Traxler, trying to send it forward, and an easy play for De Carvalho, has all the time in the world with Traxler putting a little bit of pressure on. He'll leave it for Martinez, right back for De Carvalho, who will send a line drive clear up towards the 40-yard line. Kenaway trying to pick the pocket and successfully does so off the foot there of Danny Manfredi. He'll leave it ahead here for Jordao. Jordao looking to go out wide for Mendez, who's onside. First touch, looking for De Silva, and that one broken up. A nice job by the Eastern defense, who was trying to keep De Silva as quiet as possible. Zepiri waiting to check in, but hasn't had an Eastern Connecticut State throw-in. Mendez double team. Now he'll get a throw-in, as Mendez thought that ball was off of the Warriors. Instead, it'll be a Warriors throw-in. 2:32 to go. Zepiri appeared to check in, appeared ready to check in, and now he will come in as he'll check in for Tyler Jones, as he had to go back to the bench to make sure he was getting the right guy, and he'll be out wide on the left in that forward position. Warriors throwing coming with just over 2 minutes to go. Mendez gets his head to it. Cunha stepping forward, and Traxler's on the ball. Traxler with 3 options, finds Stearns, but Stearns' through ball is way too far ahead of Xavier Duran and into the hands of Alfonso Rosales. Reese with it. Reese looking for Jordao, broken up by Stearns, and Jordao's going to be called for the foul. Chance here for Eastern Connecticut State. 1:45 to go. The Beacons have had several good looks, but nothing to show for it yet. We'll have the halftime stats for you during our halftime show. We'll also have video of the Beacons' last home game, a 9-0 victory over Southern Maine, and a look at the Beacons' West Coast road trip with interviews from head coach Jake Beverlin and the two senior goaltenders. Ball sent into the box off the head of a Warrior. That was Zep Peary just into the game, but no one making the run, and Alfonso Rosales has it. A booming goal kick. De Silva trying to run out there. Murphy is there, and it's picked up by Murphy just at the edge of his goal box as that ball went from Rosales' own 12-yard line into the 18-yard box of the Warriors. Stearns at center over to Duran as De Silva continues to chase. D'Ambrosio off the foot there of Gonzalez, who appears to be cramping up a little bit. He cramped during the second half of the Beacons 1-0 loss at Babson. The good news for him, just needs to make it through 40 more seconds. He's winded right at midfield, so the Beacons with 3 players back. It's a chance here for Duran. Easy save for Rosales as it was right at him, but that's the best chance of this first half for the Warriors as he was given a bit of space, and Gonçalves continues to try to stretch out. He'll have 10 or 15 minutes at halftime to do so, but that would be a big loss for the Beacons. As Gonçalves has been one of their most consistent wingbacks for the past 3 years. It's Mendez with 10 seconds to the near side for Kenaway. Kenaway looking to make something happen. He's got 6 seconds. Kenaway still looking. Left-footed shot. It's going to be high and through the uprights, and that'll do it for the first half. UMass Boston 0, Eastern Connecticut State 0. So we'll take a look at all of those statistics if you missed our pregame show. We'll take you through what happened in the Little East Conference. We'll take you through what happened in Beaconville today, and we'll play you some video as UMass Boston and Eastern Connecticut State tied at zeros at the end of one half of play. First, though, we'll take you through the Beacons' trip to the West Coast as UMass Boston spent nearly a week out in Seattle, Washington. And the Beacons went 2-0 against the University of Puget Sound and Pacific Lutheran University.
The UMass Boston men's soccer team has never left the East Coast for a game until last week. Third-year head coach Jake Beverlin and his squad headed out to Seattle, Washington for a pair of games and some team bonding. Welcome back to the second season of Behind the Beacon. I'm your host, Haley Dutton. This week, we'll look at the games and get a chance to talk to Coach Beverlin and his 2 senior captains on their hot start.
I thought the trip was great. It's been something that I've always wanted to do. I was fortunate enough to do it quite a few times in college and be able to travel around a little bit more than these kids have done. And I wanted to pick a place that I knew pretty much all of them had never been and may never go again. Some of the guys said they want to move there, but we'll see how that goes in a couple of years. I thought it was a good thing. You know, here we're faced with a little bit of adversity with all the dorms and things and limitations on other things that we have. So to be able to go across the country and train at the MLS Seattle Sounders facility, stay together out on a kind of a river house, and obviously go out there and play 2 matches and win 2 matches against 2 quality teams was great. We got to do a lot of sightseeing along the way. The guys got to hang out with each other a little bit more, which I thought was great because, you know, here we have a lot of guys that live together and stuff, but you don't get that dorm feel where everyone's in there. So for those 5 days or so that we were out there, everyone was together, and I don't think it could have possibly went any better.
It was actually pretty cool just traveling for my senior year, you know, going to the West Coast, seeing a new city, and just having fun with everybody, and teammates, and just being with one each other. It was a great experience, and it was just a great way to build our team chemistry, help play for one each other, and just know each other and how we are.
The team bonding was amazing. We just went down to waterfall and just had a good time. Basically everything, going out to eat, just at the house, having barbecue with Jake's family and the whole team was pretty amazing.
I think that we're getting to where I want to be. I mean, I look at it as we've played about 7 matches because we had 3 preseason matches. And we did very, very well in those. We were able to come away with results in all of them against some very, very good teams from some higher divisions. And we've tested ourselves a bit in these 4 games, and I think that we've gotten better each game, to be honest with you. With the kind of culmination last game, I thought that it was just kind of all put together. We had to deal with a little bit more adversity out there than we have had to in the past because we were under a little bit more, but we weathered the storm, made some adjustments, and I think the second half we came out and just kind of completely dominated them on all aspects, and I think that we're a little unfortunate the game ended 2-0 because it probably could have and should have been a lot more with as many chances as we generated. And I think you could say the same thing about the game prior to that. I think it's our own complacency. We've been getting up on teams 2-3-0, then I think we just kind of fall asleep a little bit, thinking the game's over the last 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're kind of giving up a soft goal to some teams that we really shouldn't be. But I think that come this Saturday down at Rhode Island College, with the game tomorrow, we'll be ready to go, and hopefully all goes well down there. They've been a tough opponent for us, probably tougher than anyone in our conference. They've given us more problems than anyone. But the guys know that, and they've had that match circled for a very, very long time, and so have I. So I'm looking forward to going down there and getting a win on Saturday.
Well, it was a good experience because we would see how our first game was, and just face Pacific Lutheran and just help challenge us, play together, and be ready for whatever comes our way. It was definitely the second game, 2-0 win. It was a good test for ourselves because it was like playing against many teams in our conference, just high pressure, just playing physical and just trying to stay composed in the back and just play our game and not play anybody else's game.
I think every game there's always little mistakes where you could fix. Besides that, getting the 2 results, getting the 2 W's on, pretty good results for us. It's always amazing going out for a trip, playing different teams, getting to know how teams play across from where we play. Good time.
After defeating Salem State University 5-1 on Wednesday, the Beacons are off to their best start in program history at 5-0. For more behind-the-scene looks, give them a follow on Instagram at UMass Boston Soccer. Until next time, I'm Haley Denton.
And welcome back to James Cotter Field here on the campus of Boston College High School, just across the way from UMass Boston. Still 10 minutes left in our halftime. We went with a 15-minute halftime today, so plenty of time to talk about all we have to talk about. We'll start with the halftime statistics, heavily in favor of UMass Boston, although neither team has a goal to show for it. The Beacons out shooting the 15th-ranked Eastern Connecticut State Warriors. Remember, that's the D3Soccer.com poll. The Beacons in the National Soccer Coaches Association of America poll ranked number 23. Neither team ranked in both polls, although the Beacons are ranked 26th in the D3Soccer.com poll coming into the week. There is no 26th team in the NSCAA poll. They don't show the teams receiving votes, so the Warriors easily could be 26th as well. Shots on goal, 4-2 in favor of the Beacons. The better saves have come from Ryan Murphy. Alfonso Rosales has not been tested very much. Murphy has had to make at least 2 very good saves, and the Beacons have had 3 good chances. Corners, even at 2, and fouls 7-7. It's been a chippy first half, and I will say the referee has done a very good job of making sure he's 100% in control. Nate Penn doing a very good job of making sure that every free kick is in the right spot, that every player who possibly needs to be talked to is talked to. As a couple Beacons are warming up right now who didn't play in the first half. Could potentially see Ricky Bonilla in the second half. Looking at the Beacons, UMass Boston went to the bench in the form of Clisma Mendez, in the form of Guilherme Barbosa, and the Beacons also used Ed Milson Barrows. So just 3 substitutes for UMass Boston, a little bit less than they've traditionally been going with. Eastern Connecticut State brought in a slew of players off the bench. So Eastern Connecticut State might be the slightly fresher team as this game goes along. Take a look at around Beaconville right now. Hasn't been a great day for the other Beacons teams, although both Beacons teams were probably the underdogs going into this one. 3-0 Eastern Connecticut State going into the day, beat 3-0 UMass Boston women's soccer. UMass Boston saw Eastern hit 2 penalty kicks. They got a goal in the 82nd minute from Jacqueline O'Grady, but did not get another scoring opportunity as the Beacons fell to 3-1. Eastern Connecticut State all alone at the top of the Little East Conference in women's soccer at 4-0. In women's tennis, the Beacons lost to 6-0 now in Little East Conference play Bridgewater State by a 7-2 score. Sophomore Christy Garcia went 2-0 for the Beacons as Bridgewater State 6-0, one of 2 undefeated teams joined by Rhode Island College in Little East Conference play. We'll take a look right now around the rest of the Little East Conference and bring you the updated standings. Rhode Island College, a 3-1 win over Keene State. Plymouth State needed 87 minutes and 32 seconds, but they got the job done up in New Hampshire against Western Connecticut State. And UMass Dartmouth winning by a 4-0 margin over Southern Maine. Where does that bring us? Well, outside of these 2 teams who came in with the Beacons at 3-0, Eastern Connecticut State at 2-0-1. Just behind the Beacons right now are Plymouth State, 3-0-1. And depending on how this game goes, they could be in a tie with Eastern Connecticut State at 3-0-1 or just behind the Beacons by a half game with their 3-0-1 mark. Rhode Island College improves to 3-1, so they'll be hot on the heels of whoever loses this game. In fact, they could be sitting ahead of Eastern Connecticut State if the Warriors were to lose. Keene State drops to 1-3, team that made it to the Little East Conference semifinal game a year ago, sitting in a dangerous spot if they want to make the 4-team Little East Conference tournament. UMass Dartmouth picked up their first win 1-2-1. Not in a great spot, but at least they have only the 2 losses. So if they won out, they could make the conference tournament. Western Connecticut State falls to 0-3-1. It's a team that head coach Jake Beverlin thinks is much improved from a year ago, as they're just 4-6-1. But the Beacons will have to travel down to Danbury, Connecticut on Friday night this week, as that will be a 6 p.m. start. UMass Boston closes out Little East Conference play 2 Saturdays from now. Keene State College, a 4 p.m. home game. And then the 31st, that's Halloween, the Beacons will host Plymouth State University on Senior Day at 4 p.m. For Eastern Connecticut State, after today's game in terms of conference, they travel to Southern Maine, the team that is now 0-4 in conference play, the least of the threats, although you never know in Little East Conference play. That game is next Saturday, and then they have Rhode Island College at home on the 24th, a 1 p.m. game, and they travel to UMass Dartmouth for a 4 p.m. game on Halloween. So that'll do it for our stats and for Around Beaconville. Right now we'll play the highlights from the Beacons' last home game. That one was a laugher, a 9-0 win over the University of Southern Maine as the Beacons played their first home game of the season 2 weeks ago. UMass Boston with just 4 home games this season, all coming in conference play.
Madrid to Calabasas, Tijuana, Mexico, through the devils in Tokyo. Say they know me though, cause I'm
And welcome back to James Cotter Field. The Beacons getting some last-second adjustments as Jake Beverlin and Dan Robinson, along with goaltender coach Vasily Yakimkin, are talking to Edmilson Barros and Calvin Schmick. Schmick got the start in this one, came onto the bench for the final 10 to 15. He's likely to be sent back out there. Barros, who didn't get the start, one of the Beacons' best players. See if he comes out to start the second half after ending the first half. Barros, an up-and-down player, but just so much potential. It's actually a natural center back who's played at forward for most of his tenure, although we have seen him this season. UMass Boston has moved guys around, play at outside back when they had the injury to Arlindo Gonçalves, and he's played in the midfield as well. Looks like Ricky Bonilla will get his first appearance as well. Talked about Bonilla a little bit earlier. Bonilla, the junior midfielder out of Framingham, Massachusetts, making his 9th appearance. 6 shots, 1 shot on goal. Did not play against Babson the other day. The big question is Arlindo Gonçalves out there? And it looks like Gonçalves, who cramped up the other day against Babson, does not appear to be out there. We'll see if he hopefully can make a return, as he's one of the Beacons' best outside backs. Get you the starters for both teams when we get a chance. Both teams huddling up. In this second half, the Beacons will go from left to right on your computer screen, or if you've hooked up our HD feed to your TV, you can be watching at home on TV. Remember, you can watch all of your Beacons action and all of the Little East Conference teams on littleeast.tv. As Lucas Alva, a former member of the Beacons men's soccer team, comes in. There's a fair amount of alumni and even some recruits here today for the Beacons. Eastern Connecticut State, as always, travels well as members of the women's soccer team and the volleyball team in attendance for this 5 p.m. showing as it continues to get colder. We're nice and cozy up here in the press box at this football field, but there's not much shelter for the fans in the aluminum stands. Eastern ready for the opening touch as Stearns and Duran are out there. The Beacons will have De Silva, Kenaway, and Smick up top, with Smick on the near side as the forward. Bonilla, Jordeo, and Martinez as the 3 midfielders, and Barros will replace Gonçalves on the right side, with Cunha and De Carvalho as the center backs, and Mateus Reese staying in, as Reese immediately gets his head on that one over to Kenaway. Kenaway so dangerous. Up ahead, looking for De Silva, broken up by Caicedo. Caicedo in the back for Eastern alongside D'Ambrosio. And here on the near side, it's Neuendorf defending Schmick. He sent the ball behind De Carvalho, but right onto the foot of Jordeo. On the far side, it looks like Lombardo has stayed out, so that's the back 4 for Eastern. As Jordeo tries to flick it in for De Silva, but his pass intercepted. Great sliding tackle there from Cunha as he's able to keep possession. Now he gets the pass from Smick. Cunha, just like De Carvalho, a converted center forward as De Silva tries to get a touch and a diving clearance there. A nice job by Neuendorf. Jordeo flicking it ahead for Schmick, who's onside. Schmick with the defender on his back. It looks like D'Ambrosio. Double team now. Schmick needs some help. Turn, right-footed pass, and De Silva whiffs on a chance for Kenaway. Shot, score! The Beacons take a 1-0 lead. It's Kenaway from Schmick, and the Beacons need just 1 minute and 7 seconds here in the second half to take the 1-0 advantage. Kenaway, who was so dangerous in that first half, able to give the Beacons the 1-0 lead as Schmick, a nice job to use his off foot, his right foot, to send the pass. De Silva was going for the shot, completely whiffed, and it fell to an on-rushing Kenaway, who beat Murphy to the far side. Still a ton of time left in this game, but the first one could be the difference in this one. And I'm not trying to be pro-Beacons. I'm just saying, in the past 2 games, we've seen just 3 goals combined from these teams. Alfonso Rosales, 4th in the country in goals against average, just gives up 0.3 goals per game. So Eastern has their work cut out for them. The ball ahead off the head of Barros. That was unintentional. Cunha tries a backheel flick, but it goes out of bounds, and that's a good job by Jones to put the pressure on. And this is what you want to see if you're Greg DeVito, the Eastern Connecticut State Coach, an immediate answer. Even if you don't score here, you get your team back up emotionally. Just their third corner kick of the game, as this one to be taken by Danny Manfredi. See who Manfredi tries to pick out. Xavier Duran stands at 6'5" on the back post as the ball sent towards the back post, and it's headed off of either Jordan or Caicedo, and Milson Barros is content to flick it towards Lombardo, the only player outside of Murphy on the Eastern Connecticut side, as that ball is flicked a little bit too strong, and Rosales will pick it up. See if Rosales elects to boot this one or if he just gives it off to Cunha instead. He'll pretend to confuse the Eastern Connecticut State players and give it over to De Carvalho. For Kenaway, that's his 5th goal of the season. Give him 14 points. Calvin Schmick, another assist this year. That's his 3rd on the year. Schmick is a player who a lot of his teammates didn't know what to expect his freshman season. He was very quiet early on, but he's really impressed as a sophomore, earning it and carving out a spot in sports information. We're pretty big fans of him as well, as he's become one of our highlight guys and working on our webcast as well in his sophomore season. It's Barros looking to find Bonilla. Bonilla wasn't making the run, and that one's going to be a bit too far out ahead of him. But the Beacons playing with a lot of energy right now after scoring that goal. It looked like a pretty innocent chance, but Kenaway just out-rushing Lombardo to get to the ball, and then a hard right-footed shot on the first touch past Murphy for the 1-0 advantage. Try to get you the clock in just a moment. It's De Carvalho with the ball. Apologize for that short audio issue as we work to get the clock back up, as the Beacons are going to be called for a foul there. Kenaway, a little bit too much contact with an Eastern Connecticut State player. Caicedo, see if he looks to go deep with this one. Has a couple of options short, and he will send it towards the Beacons box. Not many players there. Duran, the only option. De Carvalho wins that battle. De Carvalho and Cooper D'Ambrosio, the 2 co-defensive players of the year a year ago, the only co-players of the year last year in the Little East. The Beacons had the Little East Conference Offensive Player of the Year in Douglas Silvera, who's the older cousin of Guilherme Barbosa, who we've seen sparingly in this one. Beacons had the co-defensive Player of the Year and the head coach of the year in Jake Beverlin. The Beacons to their first ever regular season and tournament titles. UMass Boston had an argument for having the Rookie of the Year as well, as Marcelo Cunha had a tremendous season in his first year as a center back with the Beacons, joining up with De Carvalho, but was given to Keene State's Promise Coopy. To Silva, putting a ton of pressure, and that's a bit too much contact with Cooper D'Ambrosio. It's one of the things De Silva can do. He badgers, he pesters. It's just that one opportunity when he's not called for the foul. He's not overly aggressive. He's not trying to hurt anyone in any way, but as a smaller guy, you're not used to seeing center forwards or maybe his size. He's able to get away with a little bit more because he's not the imposing figure. You see some center forwards who are 6'6", going up there against the massive center backs. It'll be a Beacons throw-in on the far side. Still 40 minutes left in this one. The Beacons with the 1-0 advantage, is Bonilla way too strong with that touch. De Carvalho is going to try to leave it. Chance here, and Cunha just barely gets to that one. Actually had his left-footed attempted clear deflected. Now Bonilla trying to regain possession for the Beacons. UMass Boston scored with the 42:53 marks remaining in this game. It was Calvin Schmick to Mohamed Kenaway, a sophomore to a freshman, as Kenaway was ranked the 120th best freshman in this year's incoming class for D1, D2, and D3. And the local product electing to come here to UMass Boston to play alongside Dennis Martinez and Joshua Kang, 2 former club teammates with the FC Bolts, and he's made a huge impact as an offensive midfielder. Dennis Martinez has done a great job as a defensive midfielder, and both of those players have made the Beacons midfield a little bit stronger maybe even than last year's midfield. It featured a couple of seniors in the form of Douglas Silvera, the offensive player of the year, And Marcus Pizzetti, who was a all-conference player a year ago. Hard shot from Stearns, bounces through. Rosales saw it the whole way, and he makes his first stop here in half number 2. Rosales has made 3 saves now. None of them have been difficult, as all of them have been right at him, and he's been able to see them without any traffic in front. Eastern has had some opportunities off free kicks, but haven't been able to put a shot on goal. Bonilla going up there with the smaller Stearns, and it's controlled by Jordeo, who'll leave it for Martinez. Martinez crosses it to the near side for Barros. Barros has to read the skip off the turf over to Schmick. Schmick double team to Bonilla. Soft touch for Barros. Barros over to Jordeo as the Beacons almost playing like they practiced before the games. The short little skip passes in short areas is De Silva there making contact with Neuendorf. Both players appear to be okay. It's Schmick looking to go one-on-one with D'Ambrosio, who he beat earlier, sending it for the far side for Kenaway, but Caicedo easily able to step in and head that ball away. Controlled here by Jordeo amongst 3 red shirts. Gets tripped up, not enough for a call. Schmick looking to get around Neuendorf. He's looking for the left-footed shot, and Murphy will easily make that save as that ball didn't have enough zip on it to beat Ryan Murphy, who already has beaten once today, which comes as a bit of a surprise as he came in with a .65 goals against average, at least a statistical surprise. The Beacons coming in averaging just under 3 goals per game. Not a huge surprise they were able to score, but these two teams, the top 2 defensive teams, the top 2 offensive teams, goals are going to be hard to come by in this contest. UMass Boston got their lone goal early in this second half, coming off the foot of Muhammad Kenaway, his 5th goal. Beacons now have 5 players with 5 goals. Very balanced attack. Eastern has 2 players with 5 goals. That's tied for the team high. Barros being given space onto the foot of De Silva. De Silva leaving it right back for Barros as De Silva gets flipped over, and the Beacons will get a free kick about 10 yards outside the 18-yard box, maybe actually 14, as this one looks to be at about the 26, and the 18-yard box ends about the 13. So it'll be Schmick looking for his 2nd assist of the day. Pedro de Carvalho with the hand up on the far side. Schmick sending it low. Not a good free kick on that one, but it bounces out of bounds off the head of an Eastern Connecticut State Warrior, and it'll be a throw-in deep inside the Eastern end. One player warming up for UMass Boston. It's Joshua Kangel on the end line. Schmick in a dangerous area, cleared away as Calvin Schmick has made an impact in this one, as that was a nice clear there by Manfredi. Both of these teams chock full of transfers as Barrow sends it to the near post. Muffed by Murphy, but 2 defenders there in front of De Silva, as that looks like maybe a little bit of nerves from Murphy. We haven't seen much of that this season. He's been so good. Picked up a win against number 15 Muhlenberg College down in Pennsylvania. That was a double overtime victory for the Warriors in which Cooper D'Ambrosio scored at 109:59. 1 second to go in double OT as Barros another shot, this time wide of this near post, as Barros leads the Beacons in shots, over 40 on the season. And his last look before that shot didn't look like a great one, but Murphy muffed it and it bounced right in front of his own net. Fortunately, 2 Warriors able to escort the ball away as Pedro de Silva was lurking. UMass Boston playing without Elton Texera in this one of the team's leading scorers. And that's why Calvin Schmick got the start. And that's why Calvin Schmick started the second half. He's got the lone assist, has set up the Beacons' best chances of this game. Chance on the far side for Lombardo. Martinez comes away with the steal. It's Reese onto the foot of Bonilla. Bonilla with 2 targets. He'll choose De Silva. De Silva looking to come back to the near side as he gets around one player. Nice job by Manfredi to step in, but closest player to it was Jordeo. Jordeo through the legs there of Jensen and onto the foot of Schmick. Schmick will play it back for Barros. Barros back over to Schmick as the Beacons are most comfortable when they're playing short and then look for the through balls. That ball over the head of De Silva, and he's going to get the foul. A push-off on D'Ambrosio. This one's an even closer free kick. We'll see if Schmick is given the opportunity to take it. Instead, it'll be Cunha. This might be on-goal opportunity here for Marcelo Cunha. He's definitely capable of getting this one on frame. Barros, the other option. Both guys left-footed former forwards. In Cunha's case, Bilson Barros still listed as a forward. It'll be interesting to see who gets to take this one. Cunha's biggest issue is making sure it's low enough as there's a 4-man box. Now Barros will run, and it's going to be Cunha's to take. Marcelo certainly capable. We'll see what he does with this one. Left-footed, arching just over the bar. That was a great look from Marcelo Cunha. Couldn't get it low enough as Murphy got his hand up. Probably was going to get there, but that was one of the better free kicks taken from Cunha. That's one area where the Beacons missed Marcus Pizzetti, the senior who was a free kick specialist in past years, as he graduated along with a couple of other great players. Douglas Silvera, who was a 2-year captain alongside Pizzetti. Rolando Barbosa, joined by Lanier Lima, as Lima was banged up for most of his 2 years with UMass Boston, but he scored one of the biggest goals in Beacons history, scored the lone goal in last year's 1-0 victory over Rhode Island College, in which the Beacons didn't score until the 87th minute. So every member of that Bunker Hill original squad of Lima, Pizzetti, Barbosa, and of course Rosales have made impacts. Since then, the Beacons have added Texera, De Silva, Max Ochoa, who is still trying to get back into game shape after missing a few years. He likely will play an impact on next year's team. Beacons have also added some transfers from other places. Matt Coakley is banged up right now as the Beacons are going to be called for a foul to go on Kenaway. As Kenaway may have clipped the heel there of an Eastern player. Eastern playing it quickly off the restart back to the near side for Jensen. 32-10 to go as Jensen slipped there. And now Jordeo some contact, and Jordeo's going to be called for the card as he's going to be given a yellow coming in behind, I believe, is Alejandro Tabone. And that's the first card of today's game for either side, as Jordeo, who's a bit more of a physical player than most on this Beacon side, given the yellow. This is a dangerous spot right now. The Beacons look like they'll go with 3 on the wall here as it's J.D. Stearns lining up. 32:03 on the official clock. We're just a few seconds ahead here on our webcast, as we hope you appreciate the almost live clock feature. It's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, trying to keep you as informed as possible here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Looks like it's going to go to a 2-man wall. Schmick and Barros. Barros can absolutely jump out of a basketball gym. He's trying out for the basketball team this year. So we'll see if he can get ahead on it. It's taken by Stearns. Off the head of Barros and picked up by Rosales as Rosales saw the skip off the head of Barros the whole way, and he makes the save, and Rosales will give it right back to Barros. Barros looking for the long through ball for Schmick. Schmick can run, but not quite as fast as some of the other Beacons. He's on his horse. He'll track it down right along the near corner flag. Schmick leaving it off for Bonilla, who made the run. Bonilla needs some help. He'll try to find Barros, and Barros does not keep the ball in as Bonilla's pass a little bit too close to the near sideline, as it'll be a throw in here for Gavin Neuendorf. It's getting chillier here in the press box, which means it must be quite chilly out there, as De Carvalho, a bit of a hip check there on an Eastern player. De Carvalho can't believe it, as that was Jones. Quick restart, and it's Duran on the near side. Cunha standing in front of him. Duran cross towards the back post. Nobody's there. Rosales trying to track it down. Tabone is there, and Rosales gets there first. Fonzo Rosales, one of the captains on this year's team, as he and Steve Sosa both played at Bunker Hill Community College. They constantly challenge each other at practice every day alongside the third goaltender, Adonis Mutombo, who's appeared in just one game. Mutombo, the Beacons coaching staff, pretty confident he's one of the best third goalies in the entire country, Division III, but Mutombo completely happy just to be a part of this team, as it's De Silva now. De Silva against Tabone, and Tabone does a nice job of sticking on the ball. Now De Silva gets pushed to the ground by the double team. Tabone still keeping track of it, stepping in to almost come up with the steal as Reese, and now it's flicked out of bounds off of Martinez. 30:25 to go. The Beacons lead 1-0 on the goal from Mohamed Kenaway just 3 minutes into this second half. Eastern looking for their first great chance. They've had a couple of okay looks here in this second half as Rosales once again off his line. Last year, Alfonso Rosales became just the third Beacon in program history to shut out Eastern Connecticut State, making 5 saves as Bonilla almost got to that one. And instead, it's Stearns playing it back to Manfredi to the near side looking for Duran. Barros and Duran made contact, and they're going to say this one is off the Beacons. I don't believe it's going to go for a free kick. Barros can't believe it, as there's pushing and shoving going on anytime two players come close to each other on a restart. Cunha unable to play that ball. It's Jensen up ahead. Advantage being played for Duran, who sends it off the top of the bar, and it's shot in. The Beacons hoping for an offsides. Instead, it's headed in there, and I believe it's Tyler Jones. Just totally unfortunate for UMass Boston as that ball looked like it was going over. Rosales can't believe it as he's still looking over at the far official. And waiting for Jones to turn his back, it is. It's Tyler Jones. And Jones scores his team-leading 6th goal of the season. The assist to Xavier Duran, who now picks up his team-leading 15th point as Bonilla will check out, Kang back in. And that's just a fluke play off the restart. It hits off the top of the crossbar, and instead of going out, bounces right down. Jones just in front of the defender, able to head it in. The Beacons hoping ball was out of play, that it was offsides. The referee rules nothing, and we're tied at 1 with 30 minutes to play. It's Kang. Kang over to Reese as this game back even at 1. We said we wouldn't see a lot of goals. We've already got 2, and we're only 2/3 of the way through this one. Reese up ahead for Kenaway. It's the first great chance for Eastern, and they're able to finish. Kenaway, double team, trying to flick it through for De Silva, and a nice diving effort there to clear it away by Stearns. It's Kenaway with Lombardo draped on him. Lombardo able to step in, and he has it ahead for Duran, who's all by himself with 3 white shirts back. Martinez trying to play it back ahead for Kenaway, and it's flipped up out of bounds for a Beacons throw-in. So Doran picking up his 5th assist. Came in second on the team with 4. Great pass from Jensen, shot from Doran, and Rosales will take it off a short hop. That's one of the more difficult things to do, but Rosales has looked very strong on every ball he really could play. A ball off the top of the crossbar, not much you can do there, and somehow it stayed in. 2 Beacons meet on the ball, and it's onto the foot of Caicedo. Caicedo trying to play it out wide. That ball is going to go well out of bounds. His intended recipient was Jones, who scored that goal for Eastern Connecticut State. 2 years ago, it was 1-1 between these two sides. Last year, the Beacons a 1-0 win at Eastern Connecticut State. Will we see a third in this one? Cunha swinging it towards midfield. Only player in the vicinity is Manfredi. Martinez jumps up to knock that one. Now it's Kang, ball loose, onto the foot of Jensen. Jensen shot, easy save for Rosales. Perfectly positioned on that one. The Beacons were slightly unfortunate against Babson on Wednesday as the lone goal came off a deflection off of a Beacons defender as Rosales looked to be in prime position, only to have Marcelo Cunha deflect the ball on the attempted shot past him at an awkward angle. As there, Eastern Connecticut State expecting the foul the Beacons play on, but Eastern able to get possession right back. It's Kang with Stearns on his back, is back to Carvalho. Take Carvalho over to Reese. Reese has options. He'll flick it forward, looking for De Silva, but just as we've seen all day, Eastern putting 2 players in front of De Silva at all times. One at his back, one in front. Tempted cross in for Jensen. He's onside. Jensen with the defender right in front of him. Barros, he'll flick it high, and that one's going to stay inbounds. Beacons are going to have to handle this one off the head of an Eastern player, and Eastern's going to be called for the infraction as Doran went way up. And the fouls continue to add up. 26:32 to go in regulation. Both goals coming in this second half. Goals from Kenaway and Jones. Waiting to check in is Adam Traxler, who we saw for a pretty good sustained run in the first half. Traxler, the sophomore out of Newburyport, Massachusetts. Now it's Martinez up ahead for Schmick. 2 players to beat. D'Ambrosio the first of the ball, and he'll clear it out and let Eastern Connecticut State get back into defending areas as Schmick trying to make runs with De Silva seeing so much attention. Beacons trying to take advantage of the double teams as De Silva comes back, tries to get it to Barros, said it's flicked, and now Duran will flick it out. They're going to call a foul here on Cunha for the contact as that ball was going out of bounds. And we'll see Penn come over to talk to Cunha. It's the second time today. That one didn't look intentional, but Duran is hobbling, so we'll see how long he can continue. It'll be a free kick just inside the midfield line as Guilherme Barbosa and Traxler both waiting to check in. Barbosa for the Beacons, Traxler for Eastern Connecticut State. Manfredi on the restart. He'll play it low. The Beacons unaware of the player on the near side. That was Neuendorf. Neuendorf to the top of the box, sending it all the way wide for Jones. Jones leaving it for Duran, and De Carvalho in there for a booming kick that'll end up in what in a couple of months will be Monin Park, the new home of the UMass Boston baseball team. That ball went well over the short fence on the far side. It'll be Tabone heading out for the Warriors, and Newton Jordeo, who has that yellow card, will check out for the Beacons. Duran tries to send it into the box. It's knocked down by De Carvalho. Martinez playing it forward for Barbosa. Barbosa with fresh legs is going to look to cause some chaos for Eastern Connecticut State. It's Jensen. Jensen with barrels on him. The Beacons without their starting outside back Gonsalves, who was cramping at halftime. He is yet to appear here in the second half. Kenaway onto the ball. Kenaway with Stearns on his back. Kenaway looking to pick out a pass. His attempted pass is for Schmick. D'Ambrosio is there, flicking it over for Traxler. Barbosa runs over Traxler, but that was minimal contact. Traxler 5'7", 155. There's a couple players on this Eastern Connecticut State team who not only aren't very tall, they're not listed as very heavy, and there's been some small contact that has led to fouls. It is a foul. Those players just are easier to knock down than some of these 6-footers that are closer to 200 pounds. That's De Carvalho. Ahead for Martinez, will immediately deal with pressure. Knocks it off the head there of Lombardo. And it's onto the foot of Reese. Reese's left-footed clearance set up, but Caicedo is there first. De Silva trying to put pressure, and Caicedo's third touch is enough. Cunha may have had that ball go off his hand. He's going to try to keep this in and does so. That looked like a handball from here, but the referee had a better angle than I did, as it's Kang up ahead looking for Schmick, but another clearance coming from Cooper D'Ambrosio, one of the 3 captains on this Eastern Connecticut State team. Tracks it to the near side and keeping in. A great job by Duran, who has forgotten his limp from a couple of minutes ago. It's De Carvalho up ahead onto the foot of Traxler. Traxler trying to send it forward for Jensen. Jensen flips it forward. Jensen trying to leave it across for Jones. Tapped away by Mateus Reese, but Eastern continues to control. Looking to the near side, as it's going to be Duran. Left-footed shot high and it off the crossbar and in on the field goal post. 22:59. Left in regulation is Noah Ratet will check in, as will Clisman Mendez. Schmick to the bench for the Beacons, and it'll be the goal scorer for Eastern Connecticut State, Tyler Jones, checking out as he looks pretty tired at this point. Sure, if this game were to reach overtime, even if this game is still tied with about 10 minutes left, that we will see Jones. Remember, in the second half in college soccer, players can check back in. In the first half, if you check out, you have to wait until the second half. As Cooper D'Ambrosio does a great job to head that one away. Manfredi over across for a teammate. That looks like Lombardo, and Manfredi has it once again. The former Division II player, the University of New Haven. It's Barros with it. An offensive-minded outside back as he flicks it ahead for De Silva. De Silva with D'Ambrosio there. De Silva looking for the turn. He's got 4 shirts and an easy save for Murphy, as De Silva couldn't get any kind of velocity behind that shot. Too many defenders there, but still got a look off. Murphy's had to make more saves than Rosales. Rosales has given up just the 1 goal. He couldn't do much on it as the ball hit off the top of the crossbar on an attempted clear and dropped right in front of Jones, who put it in, as the Beacons were begging for an offsides call or that the ball had gone out of bounds on the cross. I think it was the correct call that it was a goal. As that ball over the head of Reese, onside, playing into the box, but Cunha able to get in the way as Mateus Reese was beat on the outside that time. The turn, the shot on the ground, easy save for Rosales, as I believe that was Manfredi attempting that look. Rosales, booming kick, but 2 Eastern players are there. D'Ambrosio, the first one to it, as now it looks like Yermi Barbosa is hobbling, and he might have to come off. Beacons have already lost Gonsalves. Elton Texera unavailable today as Barros out onto the foot of Mendez. Mendez gets around one player there in Neuendorf, finding the back heel there of De Silva, and kicking that one out of bounds is Manfredi. Jordeo, who sent to the bench potentially to cool down a little bit, but also to get a nice rest, will probably check right back in for Barbosa, the guy who came in for him. And the Beacon, who is currently looking a little bit under the weather, as De Silva couldn't quite get there, and then he gets pushed by D'Ambrosio. Now, De Silva may have been selling that a little bit, but there was definitely an extended elbow from the Eastern player, and both players shake hands. No harm done, as De Silva is a pest, and I mean that in the best possible way. Constantly trying to create turnovers, constantly bugging center backs, just looking to help out his team. He's also a premier goal scorer in the Little East Conference, coming in today with 8 goals, second in the conference. To the foot here of Stearns. Stearns looking for an option. He'll send it backwards for Caicedo. Under 20 minutes to go. Seen 2 goals in this half. Kenaway for the Beacons. Jones for Eastern Connecticut State. Will we have a third, or are we heading for another overtime game, the second in 3 years between these two sides, and the second time in as many games here in Boston? It's controlled by Kenaway. Kenaway looking for some help. Leaves it for Martinez. Martinez was overrunning that ball, so he had to slow down. It's De Carvalho flicking it ahead, looking for Barbosa, who still hasn't had a chance to sub out. Martinez's touch, not one of his better ones of the day. Traxler flicking it ahead. Duran is there. Cunha accidentally leaves it behind for Jensen, but De Carvalho is there to clean up the garbage. And it's Barrow sending a high booming ball to the opposite side, just short of midfield. Reese will play it forward. No one in the vicinity, and Caicedo will play it right back towards the Beacons off the chest of Kang. Kang onto the foot of Barbosa. Barbosa has an option wide. He was looking for Mendez. Now we'll leave it for Martinez. Martinez given space, certainly capable, and Kenaway has it in a lot of space. Kenaway with 2 options, leaving it for Mendez. A great job to break it up by Neuendorf. As now it's Kang. Kang thinking about the shot, right-footed shot. One bounce and an easy save for Murphy. As that one didn't have as much oomph as we're used to seeing from Joshua Kang, who's certainly a capable goal scorer despite low numbers. Barbosa around one player. Then he loses it for a second, falls to the ground, working against Neuendorf, gets back up, and it's cleared out into space where Martinez had the ball for an instant. Then it's knocked off his foot by Traxler. Long ball played towards the Beacons end. Cunha has a little bit of time. Duran providing pressure as Eastern Connecticut State does a great job of not affording the Beacons back for the kind of time they're used to in setting up the offense. Caicedo up ahead. De Carvalho off the hand there of Jensen. Flicks it back towards Rosales as that was a handball missed by the referee. And fortunately for both teams, it didn't cost either side, as you hate to see a game that has been played so well thus far turned by a missed call either way. It's Barros. Barros being given the space he's allowed, and then he sends a moonshot well wide as Barros maybe a little bit over-eager there. Jordeo will check back in for Barbosa, who immediately knew it was him. Jones, who checked out maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, is ready to go, but he'll have to wait till the next whistle as he's sent back towards the bench by Greg DeVito and his 4 assistant coaches. Alejandro Tabone on the other side is up. One of the starters for Eastern Connecticut State ready to go. Ball doesn't connect with the head this time. Martinez looking for Kang, a little bit over his head. De Carvalho for Jordeo off the head of Traxler. And Martinez will settle it for Kang. Kang will flick it backwards towards Reese, who was overrunning the ball. Reese is being badgered by an Eastern Connecticut State player. Flicks it for the wide open player on the near side. That's Barros. Barros with Traxler giving chase. Cuts back. Looking for some help. Barros holds off Traxler onto Martinez. Martinez flicks it back wide for Reese. As Eastern Connecticut State is being forced to chase right now. Ball ahead for Kenaway. Kenaway with 2 options in the box. It's Kenaway looking to cross back over with Caicedo all over him. Kenaway still controlling just outside the box now. Kenaway leaving it for Martinez. We'll see if he elects to take the shot. No, he'll fake it. Pass over the near side. Stepping in front is Neuendorf to come up with the clear. Onto the foot of Jensen, but given right back to Mendez. Mendez with De Silva there. Mendez trying to leave it for De Silva. Didn't get enough on the pass. And Eastern Connecticut State can breathe a sigh of relief as De Silva had a little bit of space. But another turnover. It's Barros. The Beacons with their most sustained pressure as Traxler got a tug on Barros, but no advantage played. Barros, the right-footed shot. Easy save there from Murphy as that was actually off the left foot. And another save for Murphy. Not one of his more challenging ones of the day. Murphy made a couple of big saves in the first half. Has made 1 or 2 more here as Cunha called for another foul as the diminutive Jensen there ends up in a heap, and it'll be a free kick for Eastern Connecticut State just inside the Beacons' end. 15:47 and counting here in the second half. The Beacons scored first, 42:53 remaining. Eastern scored about 15 minutes later. Goals from Kenaway from Smick and Jones from Duran as this free kick. See if they like to go deep or go short, as Traxler is an option here on the near side. 2 players behind the ball. It's Stearns and Manfredi. Manfredi looks like he's going to go for the box, hoping for a flick on. Now he resettles the ball. Not any wind going on right now, so I don't quite understand why he needed to do it there as the clock continues to tick. Eastern maybe trying to just get a breather. Ball sent towards the back, and it's off the head of Cunha, but not out of dangerous territory. Chance for a shot, and Barrow steps in front of Jensen's shot. Still in control by Eastern. It's Stearns over to Jensen. Jensen ahead for Caicedo, the center back. One center back on another as De Carvalho provides pressure to the back post, and it is just out of the outstretched leg of Adam Traxler, and the Beacons with some tense moments for UMass Boston, as we'll see to Bone check in here for Jensen, who might be a bit banged up. It's one of the better bits of sustained pressure for Eastern Connecticut State, as they've played a much better second half than their first. A bit fortunate with the goal, but at this point, bygones are bygones. It's a 1-1 game. Will one of these teams come away with the all-important 3 points? Are we looking at another tie here in Boston between the, at this point, top two teams in the conference? Is Cunha able to shield off Traxler? Back to Rosales, trying to keep this one in is Mendez, unable to do so. Immediately flipped over to Neuendorf. Neuendorf into the box for Duran. Two Beacons are there. It's Cunha and De Carvalho. Martinez for Reese, and an effective clearance as he'll send Stearns going way back. Ball headed up high by Manfredi. And that's Reese trying to get it over for Mendez. Mendez can't control. Neuendorf up ahead. Rosales will easily chase that one down in front of Traxler, who's running side to side right now, putting in all of the energy he has left in him. Barros will cut back. So effective with the ball at his feet. Up ahead for De Silva. Too strong on that tempted pass, and Murphy will scoop it up and immediately give it right over to Emmanuel Caicedo. Players on the bench are in jackets and pennies. Everybody very tense at this point with under 15 minutes to play. Through ball in. Cunha, the lone defender, back, and he's able to shield off a player as Rosales came well off his line once again. Both of these goalies have done a great job coming off their lines to break up any chances, as there's no communication there between Jordeo and Barros. Another turnover. Eastern's looked better over the past 5 to 6 minutes than they have all game. See if the Beacons can turn that tide, or if Eastern can potentially come away with that goal. We still could be looking at 2 10-minute overtime sessions, sudden death. Play 110 in conference play. In regular season play, you don't go to penalty kicks. In the postseason, we would. D'Ambrosio ahead for Traxler. Traxler over to Duran. Duran back for Traxler, way too strong. We'll see if Traxler can get on to the end of this one. He can't. And the Beacons another goal kick. Adam Traxler is running himself ragged, but it's all for the cause for the Warriors. If he can just get on the end of one of these through balls, he could either get in one-on-one with Rosales or potentially cross it back into a dangerous spot, just like Calvin Schmick was able to do. Over to Mohamed Kenaway for the Beacons' lone goal. Rosales, a low-line drive just past midfield where it's headed over towards Kenaway. Reese in the area as well, as it's controlled by the lone Eastern player. That's Rittet. Back for Manfredi. Manfredi looking for Traxler once again. Barros is very quick, and another goal kick is Eastern electing to go long consistently. The Beacons prefer to go short, but I'm not sure how much either team has left in terms of legs, as there's an Eastern player down on the far side. We're going to see if he needs to be attended to. We're going to stop the clock right now with 11:41 to play. And Greg DeVito will come out to check on his injured player who's up. That player is Noah Rittet, as both teams are going to run towards the benches, get some much-needed water, and take a rest, as Rittet's going to try to walk it off. It's interesting, the Beacons calling for Alfonso Rosales. Vasily Yakimkin has some instructions for him. Yakimkin, the Beacons goaltenders coach, in his second season, he's a tremendous voice in the Beacons locker room. Doesn't make it to a lot of games, but he's here on Saturdays, and I'm sure he's got some useful information for Rosales, who's quite the competent keeper. He'll have a goal kick here. Beacons' other assistants, we've talked about Daniel Roberts and Andrew Branton, the lone 3-year assistant, unable to get here today, but he's with the Beacons a lot during their early morning practice sessions. Rosales will go short for Cunha. Cunha being given space by Traxler. Now Traxler will put a little bit of pressure on, and it's played short to Barros. Barros right back for Jordeo. Jordeo up ahead for Kang. Kang will stop, come back to the near side onto the foot of Mendez. Mendez struggled with the first touch, gets it back. Barros too strong on the pass, and D'Ambrosio right onto the head of Jordao. Jordao gets it back from Kang. Jordao for Mendez, the run from Jordao, but a nice job by Tabone to step in front. Tabone, long ball off the head of Cunha as they keep looking for Traxler on this near side. And unable to find him that time. It's Martinez out wide. Controlled by Kenaway. Kenaway onto the foot of Kang. Kang looking for a player, looking for Mendez, but sent that one way too close to the post and out of bounds. 10:45 to play here in the second half of a 1-1 game. All three conference teams at home have won today. The Beacons trying to make it 4 for 4. The number 15 team in the D3Soccer.com poll, that's Eastern Connecticut State. The number 23 team in the NSCAA poll, that's UMass Boston. One of these teams could go 0-2 this week. Both teams 0-1 thus far. De Silva with Neuendorf on his back. Caicedo steps forward. Chance here for Mendez. Mendez controls but needs some help. Sends it wide for Kenaway. Kenaway with two defenders right in front of him and two defenders lurking. The Beacons need options, and Mateus Reese gave an outside run looking to help. It's Martinez to the near side as the Beacons look for a 2-for-1 with Mendez, leaving it for Barros. Barros wide open, looking for a player in front. Leaves it, left-footed shot there by Kang. Doesn't get much on it, deflects it wide. And a great job by De Carvalho to step up as it was Duran looking for the counterattack. Now it's Mendez, a couple options in the box in Kang and De Silva. Leaving it for Barros once again. De Silva's in front. Barros off the hand of an Eastern player, and they're going to rule it a corner kick rather than a penalty kick. Jake Beverly and his entire team can't believe it. An Eastern player jumped up. Both hands went up. They're going to rule that that was unintentional, but the Beacons will get the corner kick nonetheless. In last year's Little East Conference championship game, the Beacons won in double overtime on an Milson Barros header off of a corner kick. Two Eastern Connecticut State players waiting to check in. It's Brandon Cullinane and Kevin Zepiri. And it'll be Muhammad Kenaway, who scored the goal earlier, taking the corner kick first of the half for the Beacons, bouncing around. Barros trying to turn, doesn't get much on it. Jordao's there, and it's a penalty kick. Barros is fouled right at the top of the box, and we're going to see who takes it. Muhammad Kenaway is lethal from the spot. We'll see who Jake Beverlin sends there. Pedro De Silva wants every single one, and Milson Barros wants every single one, and it will be the hottest goal scorer in the Little East Conference right now. Pedro De Silva, who scored the two most important goals in the Beacons' last two games, looking to make it 3. As De Silva will... No, it's going to be Barros. Barros to take it. The junior. Shot. Saved by Murphy. Ball's loose. Onto the foot of Mendez for a second. And it's going to be cleared out wide. So Barros, who drew the foul, taking it. And now it's Kenaway. This game's far from over. So the Beacons had a chance. Kenaway crossover has Martinez. Left-footed shot goes high. As the Beacons blew an opportunity there. A great diving stop from Murphy. And when we look back at this game, that could be the difference. As Tabone, and I believe it's Traxler, check out. First time we've seen Brendan Cullinane, the freshman back out of South Windsor, Connecticut, an all-conference player. Also ran track and field, making his 8th game off the bench. Doesn't have any shots or points to his credit. Does have the 1 yellow card. Murphy on the free kick. The freshman trying to prove that he's every bit the goaltender that Greg Walton was the past 2 years. And he made the save of the game right there. He's already made some great ones, but to stop and Milson Barros, who has been such a great offensive option for the Beacons, as Barros holding on to his back hip. As he was the player who was fouled, he took the PK. And Jake Beverly is hoping that decision won't cost him. The Beacons sometimes this season have elected to go with players who drew the foul, or for players who maybe needed an offensive spark. And in this case, instead of going with De Silva, who's been red hot, or Kenaway, who has as much offensive skill as any player in this conference, potentially in New England, they chose Barros. Barros trying to come up with the play to get himself some redemption, as it's Manfredi clearing it back into the Beacons end. Cunha will head it out of bounds into the hands of an Eastern Connecticut State player. And we'll get a substitution as Traxler checks back in immediately for the Warriors. Under 7 to play here in half number 2. Both goals have come in this half. Mohamed Kenaway and Tyler Jones. And then the missed penalty kick just about 2 to 3 minutes ago. A save from Eastern Connecticut State as Pedro de Carvalho can't believe he's called for the foul there on the much smaller J.D. Stearns. As Barros was stopped going to the near side. A diving effort from Ryan Murphy. 6:30 to play as it's going to be, I believe, Manfredi, who's on the far side, is about as far away as possible through this stained glass to view. And it will be Manfredi, a low ball to the near side, just over the head of a couple Beacons. Chance on the backside. It's Cullinane. Cullinane sending it back, and he couldn't keep that ball in bounds. The flag is up. The referee hasn't realized it yet. The flag is still up. No matter what happens, they won't continue play here, and they finally see it. Clisman Mendez thought he had been called for the foul, but instead the referee finally understanding, and the Beacons will get the free kick from inside their own goal box. Calvin Schmick will wait to check in at the next whistle, as it's Pedro de Carvalho sending it forward onto the head of Manuel Caicedo. Jordeo plays it but can't keep control, and ball is sent up high. As Carvalho once again running into Duran. We're going to get a stoppage. And it looks like we're going to get a card. As the referee went for his pocket. Hasn't pulled it out yet. Checking on Duran first. And it will be a yellow card called on Pedro de Carvalho. De Carvalho is just a bigger player than Duran in terms of weight and muscle. As De Carvalho is going to be called for it. Mateus Reese, the junior, comes over and talks to De Carvalho, trying to calm him down as the Beacons desperately need their first-choice center back. 5:30 to go. 2 yellow cards issued in this game. 1 to Jordeo, 1 to De Carvalho. Eastern, a free kick from about 29, 30 yards out. I believe it's Manfredi behind the ball. Lots of options. We'll see what he does with it. He's going to go low on goal, and Rosales is there as Rosales immediately runs into Traxler, who, that's a legal play. Traxler was in his way. Rosales has the right of way, but Rosales puts it well out of bounds. And on the restart, it's going to be back into the hands of J.D. Stearns. Smick still waiting to check in. As the throw-in is headed by Barros back into the center of the field. D'Ambrosio way up. De Carvalho, a strong header this time. No contact. It's Kenaway. Kenaway trying to slide it back to the near side. Coming back to the ball is Mendez. Mendez with a couple of runners in front. Tries to find Barros, but it's a nice job stepping in front from Brandon Cullinane. As now it's Jordeo with space. Ahead for De Silva. Can he get there? Murphy is there, and Murphy picks it up just in front of the attempted stretch from De Silva, who jumps up and grabs the bar, frustrated as that was one of the best chances for the Beacons senior from Fogo, Cape Verde. Hasn't had a lot of open looks, has constantly been badgered by single, double, maybe even triple teams as that ball is out of bounds off the Beacons. Looked like from this perspective it was last touched by D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio is still up there. He's a center back playing forward, and they've switched Neuendorf out to the second center back position. Schmick will check in for Mendez, and D'Ambrosio's playing as an attacking midfielder. Interesting switch. Is D'Ambrosio the co-conference defensive player of the year, but they're very confident in the combination of Caicedo and Neuendorf, and they're trying to get a little bit of offense here, win this one in regulation. Eastern sensing that they have a bit of the better end of the play here in the second half, much better than they had in the first. Kenaway able to come up with a steal. Ahead for Kang. Now Kang needs some help over to Kenaway. De Silva, the lone player in front. Floated ball. Caicedo gets in front of De Silva, and De Silva's not going to get that call. The Beacons already have earned one PK here in the second half, unable to convert, as now it skips past Cunha. May have been a handball. Ball played in front for D'Ambrosio, and he runs in to Rosales. Now we're going to get a stoppage as Eastern continues to yell about the potential Marcelo Cunha handball. And DeVito is screaming at the referee on the near side. It was offsides on D'Ambrosio, and both of these coaches haven't necessarily gotten their way on handballs. The Beacons had what they thought was a handball in the box that should have led to a penalty kick prior to the time that Barros was contacted in the box while attempting a shot. And this time it was Cunha, potentially fortunate, as he's had the ball hit off his hand twice, and both times Eastern Connecticut State screaming for a handball. Now it's Stearns and Kang fighting for it. They're going to call it on Kang. Stearns came around and swiped his hand towards the neck and head area of Kang, but Kang initiated the contact there as a low line drive, knocked down by Barros, but right onto the foot of D'Ambrosio. Looking for Traxler on the near side. Traxler looking for the left-footed cross off the foot of Cunha. Cunha racing after it, and will send a booming kick in the vicinity of 2 maroon shirts. Soft touch back and forth between Lombardo and Stearns. Lombardo has his pass knocked down by Martinez. It's controlled by Kenaway. He's one of several Beacons to have played the full 90 minutes thus far. Looking ahead for De Silva was Jordeo, and his pass was intercepted. Under 2 minutes to go in regulation. Tied 1-1 between the number 15 and the number 23 teams in the nation. One of these teams is going to leave very happy. And Barros finds De Silva, but he's offsides. A ridiculously late call, as the flag did not go up until De Silva was 100% sure he was going to get to the ball first. Beverland can't believe it, as it'll be a free kick inside the eastern end here with Manfredi with 90 seconds left on the clock. Barros and D'Ambrosio getting into it. Cunha beats D'Ambrosio to this one, and Hill will send it out of bounds unintentionally into the hands of Traxler. Eastern looking for a great chance here with a minute 15 to play. D'Ambrosio trying to get a ball in. It's onto the foot of Duran. Sends it high. Ball still loose. Well outside the box. Traxler to the ground. Schmick racing after this one. So that was actually not Traxler. That was Cullinane. And now Schmick will foul Traxler right at the sideline. He can't believe it. Under a minute to go in regulation. Remember, 2 10-minute overtime sudden death if we were to get there. 1-1 with 50 seconds. Low ball off the head of D'Ambrosio. It's loose. Ball still there. D'Ambrosio. Shot score! Cooper D'Ambrosio, potentially his second game winner. And the clock is stopped with 43 seconds to go as Greg DeVito moved D'Ambrosio up to be an attacking midfielder late in this second half. And he scores off the loose ball off of the free kick on a ball where Calvin Schmick made contact with an Eastern Connecticut State player after the ball may have already gone out of bounds. It works for Eastern Connecticut State. Both of their goals have come off of loose balls in the box. And now we're going to see a yellow card come out, I believe, to Mohamed Kenaway. 43 seconds to go. Still enough time for one last chance potentially, as Milson Barros is lined up in Eastern's end of the field, and no one's saying anything yet, and they're going to allow him to start there, so the Beacons need to get it in and get there fast. 40 seconds to go as the only players back are Reese and Martinez. Sent off the head. It's a chance here for Schmick, and Schmick couldn't quite get there. Now Kang pushes down a player, and we're going to get a stoppage, an infraction on the Beacons. The clock continues to tick. 25 seconds to go, and you know that Murphy is going to try to take as many seconds as possible, as he's going to stop the clock right here. And we're going to see a yellow card now on Pedro de Silva. And the benefit of that is the clock stops. So that might actually have been a wise move by de Silva, who, with the referee calling the card, has to stop the clock, so the Beacons won't see as many seconds tick off, with Ryan Murphy taking his time in what is a very wise decision from the freshman. They may have just given a red to De Silva. He's walking off. He can't believe it. He's played so hard in today's game. Ball is headed up there by Duran. Loose, and it'll be out of bounds. Ball booted wide. Under 10 seconds to go. D'Ambrosio, the game winner with under a minute left. De Carvalho pops it up. It's over to Cunha. And Eastern Connecticut State earns the victory 2-1 on the Beacons' home field, as the Warriors scoring back-to-back goals after UMass Boston took the 1-0 lead in the first 3 minutes of the second half. The Beacons had their chances, but 2 goals off of loose balls in the box. The first one, a fluke one that went off the top of the crossbar that Tyler Jones able to put in. The second one, Cooper D'Ambrosio able to just beat diving Alfonso Rosales on the near post. As Eastern Connecticut State came in ranked 15th, a very deserving team, and The Beacons, with their first loss, leaves the Little East Conference top of the standings in a bit of chaos. Eastern and Plymouth tied at 3-0-1. The Beacons still have to travel to Plymouth. Eastern Connecticut State, though, in a great spot. If they win out, the lowest they could finish is tied for first. Eastern will travel to Southern Maine, the last team in the conference, and then host Rhode Island College, travel to UMass Dartmouth. The Beacons have to hope that Eastern will be tripped up in one of those games. If that were to happen, the Beacons would control their fate, as if they could beat Plymouth State on the final day of the season, the Beacons would have a chance at a potential 6-1 to win the conference. UMass Boston still has to go to Western Connecticut State this Friday. They host Keene State in a Little East Conference tournament final rematch on the 24th, and they close out with Plymouth State on Halloween. As Eastern Connecticut State coming back from a 1-0 deficit, 2 second-half goals, and the Warriors able to defeat the Beacons on their home field. That'll do it for us here from the James Cotter Field here on the campus of Boston College. My name is Seth Orensky, your producer and play-by-play guy. Jose Pena was actually the director. Anthony Searles, your camera operator. Thanks so much to those individuals for helping out on the webcast. Remember, looking forward at the Beacons' schedule as they now ride a 2-game losing streak after starting the season 10-0. They'll travel to Western New England on Tuesday. That's a 3 p.m. game. Western Connecticut State on Friday, and then MIT next Wednesday, and another regionally ranked team as the Beacons played very well their last 2 games. A little bit unlucky to have 2 consecutive losses, but they'll have to get off the schneid, and soon. They're looking at a potential at-large bid. That may have gone out the window with this loss. Who knows? Still a lot of soccer to be played, and both of these teams' focus, and their only focus, is winning this conference tournament. But after today, it may be going through Willimantic, Connecticut, rather than Boston, Massachusetts. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Hope you had a great time along with us. My name is Seth Dorensky saying, have a great night.